Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daily Bone Podcast. Friday, October 31st. It's Halloween day. Kicks, you dressing up for Halloween?
Oh, yeah, dude.
All right. Well, that's what I like to hear.
I'm dressing up as an 80s bro.
Okay.
So you know that windbreaker, that like trippy windbreaker I have?
Yep.
So I'm rocking that. I got like some trippy pants. I got my Mog shades. It's funny because I went to a trunk or treat and none of the kids knew what I was. They're like, 80s, dude. Like, what is that? But all the old parents with like Jello shots and stuff are like, 80s, bro, take a Jello shot.
Yeah, the kids are like, you're literally ancient history. They can't even process that someone could be so old.
Yeah.
I like that. You need to get you got to get like a mullet for that costume.
Oh, that'd be priceless, dude. That would sell it, man. I don't know. That'd be a little too dangerous looking that good.
I feel like you could rock a mullet. Like, you're just going to continue living life with no mullet? What's going on? I don't hear anything.
Sorry, I got out of Portugal because it's just going to be way better for our vibes.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, look, it's Halloween day, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to see about a little bit of spooky price action. And if you are trying to listen on X, on Twitter, unfortunately, we will not be on that platform today, but, you know, no big deal. So, look, first news story. Well, actually, real quick, today marks the 17th anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper. So I suppose you could say that Bitcoin is effectively
17th?
17th, yeah.
That's my lucky number.
Okay, well, this is your lucky year when it comes to Bitcoin. Maybe you'll buy some.
Shut the fuck up.
So anyway, look, today we're going to discuss bullish earnings reports out of crypto equity, ZCASH, and its continued strength despite the market pullback, a new prediction market strategy from Easy, as well as his thoughts on Brian Armstrong gaming the Coinbase earnings mention market. That was interesting. I know your business partner, Kix, tweeted about that one. That's actually how I found out. That was a fun.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, he went viral on that, dude. Got 1.4 million views, and it's funny because he got his Twitter hacked, so he had to create a new Twitter, so he lost like all of his following. And maybe this is just God's way of being like, hey, you deserve a little bit of an audience on Twitter. Let's get it back for you. But yeah, Tiriel's been talking about it for a while because he's like Easy, a big mention markets trader. He's like, it's only a matter of time before someone just decides to have fun and just like list them all off. But I mean, the fact that it was on Coinbase's earning call, honestly, I think it's legendary. In my book, Brian is, I always thought of him as a important businessman, but I never thought of him as like cool or funny. Like now he's cool in my book after doing this. For me, I think the funniest takes was the guys in the timeline. They're like, I knew prediction markets weren't serious, and this just validates it. Like, how can everyone trade it? I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you know what I mean? There's a whole spectrum of prediction markets, right? Like mention markets is like betting on the color Gatorade at the Super Bowl, right? Like it's not
the best bet in the world.
Yeah, it's not like, it's not as serious as like predicting the mayoral election, right? Like, and I
mean, dude, there was 3K volume done.
Was there more on Kalshi?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Kalshi has way more liquidity right now in a lot of markets, actually. Poly markets got to get their shit together, especially mention markets. But yeah, it's not like there's a ton of volume on these either. Once again, it's like a fun prediction market. It's like, you know, it's like predicting, you know, I don't know. I thought it was legendary.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously something that nobody saw coming. Quickly, do you want to run into the weather report? We'll just get the show on the road, Kicks.
Yeah, I'd love to do that for you, my bro. All right, let's hit it. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Friday, October 31st. Happy Halloween. Majors are up slightly on the day, but now they're back down. Bitcoin hovering around 109K, Ethereum in the 3,800s, Solana in the 180s, hype under 44 bucks. It was a good day for crypto equities as both Strategy and Coinbase beat Q3 earnings estimates. Both are up in pre-market trading, with MSTR up 6% and Coinbase up 4%. Next up, SBF and his team have come out and said that FTX was never bankrupt. A post on SBF's X account stated that there has always been enough assets to repay all customers in full, in kind, both in November and today. Finally, despite a broader market pullback, Zcash hit a new all-time high. After gaining 5% on the day, it has now flipped Monero, let's go, and is up to a $6.1 billion market cap. That is it for the weather report. Back to you in the studio.
Fantastic weather report as usual, Kicks. Look, yesterday you had crypto equities, crypto companies report Q3 earnings on the same day. This has actually happened a number of times, throughout the past few years. MicroStrategy beat Q3 earnings estimates, had a 6% gain pre-market. So, some outperformance there from MicroStrategy. Coinbase, much more interesting earnings report, much harder to predict, beat earnings estimates and gained 4% pre-market. Their subscription and services revenue was about $13 million higher than people expected. That was $747 million versus $734 million. Their total revenue was $1.87 billion versus $1.8 billion. Very interesting company. Probably one of the most interesting companies to pay attention to quarter over quarter because it is not as transparent. We know exactly how much Bitcoin MicroStrategy owns. We know every single detail about the MicroStrategy strategy, which is to use preferred equity to accumulate Bitcoin. Coinbase has a few more variables with the introduction of Base, some of the acquisitions that they've made over the years, and just their overall business model. It's also, I think, an indicator of where we're at with the general crypto market, what the volume on Coinbase looks like. Next story, Zcash is one of the few top 100 tokens that's actually up on the day. It's up 8% to a new all-time high. It has a $6.1 billion market cap. In my opinion, this token is bought and paid for through undisclosed shills. That's my opinion on Zcash. Kicks, what do you think about this thing?
I think that I'm coping because I bought it at 60, sold it at 120. But I did call out one of my top poly market plays of the past 2 weeks was Zcash flipping Monero. That was a poly market, and it was around 50%. So nice little two-bagger there. I'm excited to go to Portugal and claim my winnings. But in terms of Zcash, I don't know. Like Pio, I talked about this back in March, April. And one of the things that I wondered, my kind of thesis, not saying this is the right thesis, but one of my theses is that now that Bitcoin has gone so mainstream, we have this group of cypherpunks in the community, right? And like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana going super mainstream, ETF Wall Street, it's a little bit of the antithesis to these cypherpunks. And my theory back in March, April was that they would kind of huddle around a new type of protocol. And at the time, Monero was doing very well. I don't even think I mentioned Zcash at the time, but my kind of thesis was I could see these guys kind of, what is the opposite of like Wall Street transparency, right? It's kind of like privacy, pseudo-anonymous stuff. So it's not crazy surprising for me to see this Zcash thesis play out, despite me thinking that it was going to be like Monero that did it. How far can it go? I don't know. Is it going to be the next Bitcoin? I don't think so. Can it keep running from here? Certainly.
Yeah, I think that really weird people like the narrative of it, and the same weird people do not care for just Bitcoin being desired by a certain demographic of investor. And so even though that doesn't really have any impact on Bitcoin, actually it has literally no impact on Bitcoin itself. The other thing is that I do think Zcash was bought and paid for, by the kind of quote influencers. They're influencers, unlike crypto influencers, they're like finance influencers, but they, were posting undisclosed shills about Zcash. And
it's the same thing that happened with Aster. You can coordinate a group of people to all get in early on a price and then push it as a narrative. You can call it a cabal, you can call it whatever. And I'm in the same camp as you. Here's the thing, what I would say. As long as people keep saying this is going to be the next Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the winner.
Sure.
I mean, you only want to be worried when people stop saying that.
Bitcoin is the winner no matter what, So
I'm just saying, like, if people are like, this is the next Facebook, this is the next Google, all it is a validator that they're the kings.
So prediction markets, Brian Armstrong opened prediction market odds during the earnings call. So at the end of the earnings call, right before I think he was done speaking, I don't know if it was the end of the call in general, but before he was done speaking, he made sure to open Polymarket and read all of the mention market words that had not been hit yet. I think it was only like 4 or 5 words, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, yada, yada, yada.
Web3 staking.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I don't think we've seen that before. I don't think so. But that's an interesting one. Kicks, had you placed a bet on that market?
I don't do mention markets. My buddy Tiriel did. He funny in his tweet that went viral. He replied to someone and he's like, "Hey, honey, we're eating meatloaf tonight because Brian Armstrong absolutely rinsed our nose." I mean, that's the sweaty thing about being on the nose. Like, you can never lose on a yes if someone does something like that, right? You only can lose on the no. And the no is always generally sweaty in mention markets. It's like being on the under in a sports.
It's the under on sports bets every time. Like, people hate it when you take that because like you're hoping for a word, you're hoping for a catalyst. I love mention markets. When I saw that, I was like, that sucks, because I do think it's gonna put like a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth with it. Because it's like mention markets are ripe for manipulation. Like, you can't argue against it. It's a single word. And you've heard people be more cognizant of them, especially as of late in general. And I think as these markets continue to grow and expand and more interest enters the space, that's only going to continue as well. So it's like kind of tough.
I think it's actually bullish. Like, yes, you will get things like this that happens. But in terms of like, this probably was the greatest marketing campaign for mention markets to date.
Well, I think that, and then for the next Coinbase earnings, I want to take the no on every single word
and just bet on them.
Because I think they do the complete opposite next time and don't say a single one.
I love it. Like, they intentionally drop, like, use different words for every single thing.
Yeah, like the law of 2 extremes is like how I look at this. Is like, next Coinbase Q4 earnings or Q3 earnings, Q4. I'm taking the no on everything.
That's funny. I love that. Also, speaking of prediction markets, you could have taken Coinbase beating earnings. I want to say it was 20-30%.
Wow.
So, like,
no. Like, when though?
Am I wrong? I mean, it was
at 80% right before they put out the tweet that said earnings tomorrow, and then it ripped.
Yeah,
like almost went to 100.
Maybe I was just looking at the line and assuming that it was low and then high. My bad. Fake news.
I actually don't think that they'll put that much thought into it to go out of their way to not say the words next time. I'd almost bet that they just do
it was 60%
again. I just feel like I don't think Brian Armstrong's going to structure his earnings report around mention markets, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end he's like, all right, let's pull this link up again and just hit all the S's.
Well, it was like back during the presidential election. Like, there was a whole thing around like Trump and like, is he going to keep saying these like weird words? Right? Like, tampon was one, dogs and cats was a big one, so you're watching it. It's like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Let's go. We got another 5X. It's fun. But once again, I don't think that mention markets are like the end all be all use case for prediction markets. So the people like saying, oh, this makes prediction markets not look serious, I think that's a dumb take.
Those same people probably said that prediction markets were going to go away after.
Exactly.
Here when that one was like the most obvious, like, what are you talking about? This is clearly how like news is going to break these days. Like, when you like, we've all known that Zoran is going to be the mayor of New York now for like 4 months because he's been 88% plus on market nonstop. He's not going to lose. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
And I don't know if you've seen the chart, but basically this guy broke down prediction markets into like tranches of like 5%, right? So like, let's like, and then compared it like those to resolving correctly, and then like the probabilistic of them resolving correctly, and every single band was within 2 percentage points. You know what I mean? So like, if these were not serious, you would see massive. It'd be like, oh wow, like at 50%, it's actually only right 40% of the time. But it was like, okay, if Polymarket says there's a 50% chance, it happens 52% of the time, right? So it's very, very accurate. I just don't think understand like money. It's like money is going to pressure towards accurate pricing.
It's money and it's truth, right?
Yes.
Where you can manipulate the market for it, but you can't actually manipulate. Like, someone's going to be elected mayor of New York. You know what I mean? Like, there is a truth there no matter what.
Exactly.
So you can go and try to pump Cuomo to like
as much as you want, but Cuomo sucks. So like, why are you buying that? That's not a good bet.
Yeah, the point is like you can try to manipulate the polymarket market for Cuomo, but if Zoran then still gets elected, you just lose all your money. So like no one's gonna do that, you know.
Exactly.
So there's truth at the end. If you bet on a sports bet, they're gonna play the game.
It was like all the people back in the last election. They're like poly market's rigged. There's no way Donald Trump's 50% chance to win the election. It's like, cool, put $1 million on Kamala then. And they'd be like, oh, well, I don't know, because maybe, I don't know. Well, it doesn't sound like you're financially confident. You're emotionally confident, maybe not financially confident.
Exactly. Easy, did you bet or did you play the mentioned market for Coinbase's earnings at all?
No, I didn't play the Coinbase one. I played the Apple one.
What happened there?
So, nothing crazy. Like it was just pretty standard. The thing I just like them because it's like when you understand what products are being released, you can kind of lean on what they're going to talk about. So like widget, I took no on because for some operating system last time they were heavy on it, indicating they probably wouldn't be on this one. And obviously they just had the new iPhone rollout and a few other tech products there. So I knew that they'd be focused on sales numbers for that. So I like people who say like mention markets are just gambling because yeah, sure they are, but like they're in my belief, there's still an edge to be had if you understand what the company is and the likelihood, especially on earnings calls, for how those historically have played out. And just coming from this space of like TradFi stuff, it's much easier to understand where and what topics they could want to cover.
Yeah. And it's not gambling if you have an edge. So you're not gambling in that case. I think the wildest news over the past 40, 72 hours for prediction markets, I don't know if you all saw this, a poor sap, you won't feel too bad for him because I think his P&L is north of 1 million on Polymarket, but he fat fingered a sell on the how much will Mega ETH raise in their pre-sale. And he put down $300,000 on the no and then went to sell it when it was at 99.7, but didn't check the liquidity depth in the pool. So he sold into a thin book. He ended up selling some of his 100% shares for 1 cent or less.
Oh man.
The guy on the other side, a professional stink bidder on Polymarket, made 140 bands.
By buying up that guy's shares and letting liquidity return and gradually selling into the liquidity?
Exactly. So you saw him and he got a fill at 1 cent. He got a fill at 0.1 cent. And then you see him just clipping out at 99.7 cents for like a couple of hours.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. Damn.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know. Like, how do you fix that over time?
I mean, two ways. One is Polymarket and Kalshi need warning pop-ups. When like someone's like to just prevent fat fingers, like, hey, like you're trying to sell 300,000 shares. There's only like, and exactly. And it's valued at this and you're going to get wrecked. Right. So like a get wrecked warning. Also, you got to think about these things. You know what I mean? Like if you're moving $300,000 in crypto, like take 15 seconds before you fucking slam the button. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of user responsibility there. And then also prediction markets are new. So there isn't as much liquidity or people trying to solve for these liquidity things. I mean, what's interesting is you could have had stink bids at 2 cents and you would have made 70 grand, right? Or you could have had stink bids at 50 cents and you would have made 30 grand. So like the market will kind of correct this over time. And so will the front end platforms.
Absolutely. So Solana rang the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Just little tiny story here. Solana ETFs are now live, but we don't have a BlackRock Solana ETF, correct?
I don't think so. I'm not sure though. I'm not big on the ETFs in terms of knowledge.
Easy was shaking his head. Easy. You're sure about this? We don't have a BlackRock ETF for Solana?
I think they applied for one. I don't think one is live.
That means it will be live.
Double check.
And when the BlackRock one drops, that's actually significant. But right now in the market, it's
so one is not live yet.
But they did 100% apply.
They're looking to apply next month.
Okay. Next month. Okay. So, it's going to take some months. It's going to take a few months until the BlackRock one is live. Kind of doesn't matter. Also, will be interesting to see how it performs given the Ethereum ETF has been, pretty underwhelming compared to the Bitcoin ETF, obviously the most successful product launch in the history of people. Some quick hitters, Canary Funds updates its XRP ETF, so another ETF story, this time for XRP. Nordic Bank offering Bitcoin ETFs, another ETF story. The Boximus Other Side X Amazon collab sold out 2,200 avatars at $70 each. So the Other Side camp selling more NFTs. DYDX is going to allow spot trading on Solana available in the US. Love to see the guys over at DYDX progressing. The Mega ETH public sale closed with $1.39 billion in commitments. You can still launch a token for a new chain and generate $1 billion, ladies and gentlemen. So very interesting stuff. And then TokenWorks allows or announced that REKSTR will launch today, which is, I'm assuming, the Rekt radio or, Rekt token, strategy token. What's going on with all that? I figured all that was like significantly down, right?
They are. Yeah, they are. It's the first time though that we're going to see like a Rekt strategy, like a token on token strategy versus, what'd you say?
Like an ERC20 versus an NFT strategy.
Yeah, it's for a token, which is interesting. So I'm very curious to see like how they manage this and what the action is on it. I'm hopeful, obviously. Like I want to see it do well, just because I like the guys at Rekt. But these token strategy things have been catching a lot of FUD, obviously, because price has been going down. So like that's kind of the big thing right now is a lot of people are aggressively FUDing them purely because the market is not too happy with negative price action. Like that's just the reality of the situation. Prices go down, people get pissed, and now they're all saying like these strategy tokens are EV negative for NFTs on an industry in a space that's already declining. So
yeah, I don't think it's EV negative. I'm a big fan of Adam at Punk STR. Made a lot of money on Punk STR, so very thankful for that. I said a while back, someone asked me, they said, like, is Punk STR going to be the catalyst that restarts NFT season? I'm like, no, guys. Like, you know what I mean? This is not going to all of a sudden change the paradigm of NFTs and everybody starts loading up money on Coinbase, bridging it on chain to buy NFTs. Let's be real here, right? But I certainly don't think it's a net negative. I don't know how something buying NFTs and then trying to sell them for higher, if anything, it's pulling supply out. On the ERC20 front, that makes less sense to me because ERC20s are already fungible. You can buy as much of it as you want.
Right.
The whole benefit with like Punk STR, especially for punks, is that punks are $250,000. You can't just, a lot of people can't just go do that. So being able to own, a fractional basket of that has value. But meme coin, it doesn't make sense to me. I can go buy $10 a Rekt right now.
Yeah, it isn't truly a fractional, like you don't truly have like fractional ownership of a punk though with Punk STR. You don't.
No, it's more like if you own STR, you don't truly own fractional of their Bitcoin, but you're owning the relationship to it. It's similar in that structure, meaning like Punk STR, you can't like as a DAO come together and say, hey, let's liquidate all the punks and distribute the money amongst ourselves. But it still has like the same, okay, there's 50 punks in the vault, therefore Punk STR should be worth whatever that is or a multiple of that.
Yeah, except MicroStrategy is an actual, like publicly traded operating company that posts profits every quarter. It is different. Like this. No,
I mean, I'm saying it's similar in the sense of like Michael Saylor is not saying, hey, if you own a share of MSTR, you own a fractional share of our Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm
just saying that relationship.
Sure. I just don't know if the price of a token like that, like Punk STR, it has any correlation. Like it's kind of like, who cares how many punks they have? Because like, what are they going to get it appraised? I just feel like
it sells it at 20% premiums. And then when it makes a sell, it takes that ETH and it buys back the token. So what's interesting is it actually, and then burns the token. So it actually can lag the price in the sense of like, if it doesn't look like punks are going to get to the floor price where it's going to start triggering sells, it could lag. But if you believe eventually punks will sell north of 50 ETH again, that flywheel effect will kick in. So there is a price feedback loop in it.
That makes sense.
But it's not like MST. I'm not trying to tell you it's like MST. I'm just saying that the relationship of like the structure.
I guess the thing with crypto tokens, you're also just betting that the thing is still going to exist in 2 years. You know what I mean? That's like that's the elephant in the room with crypto tokens, is like that the thing actually is not going to just not exist anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, this is fully on chain, so it will exist regardless if like people care about it or not. But I completely agree with you in the sense of like existing in the zeitgeist, like everything in crypto is hype. You talked earlier, Zcash, like why is Zcash doing well? It's certainly not doing well because just random people are buying it and there's no coordinated influencer marketing campaign that's putting in front of everybody's face every single day on the timeline, right? So like, will Punk STR be on the timeline nonstop a year from now? I mean, that's a question you ask about all crypto things, right? Like it is all an attention hype game at the end of the day.
Absolutely. So look, moving on to other things here. I mean, from my perspective, the crypto market really in many ways has been boring for the better part of this year in the sense that there's been some isolated pumps, but I think the biggest issue is the focus on Bitcoin in the market. And for crypto, that's actually horrible in the sense that crypto wants Ethereum to do well, Solana to do well. Hyperliquid had a good year. Some other, SWE had a good year last year. That wasn't this year, right? What the big
it's 2024. You're right.
So they had their big repricing last year. Hyperliquids had a solid year this year. Zcash had this sort of manufactured pump over the, call it the past 3 or 4 months. What other big winners have really existed aside from one-off, deep on the risk curve pumps like Punk strategy, right? Like there's always going to be, 1 or 2, even in the bottom of the bear market, you had Pepe in 20.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like we had in August, we had Moonbirds make a really nice pump. Pudgy Penguins pumped up to 60K. Thank God I sold it at the top there. But you're right. Pio, I'm curious. I actually read an interesting thesis on the timeline last week. And basically what it said is that January 2025 was the top of crypto, not Bitcoin, of crypto. And Bitcoin decoupled from the crypto typical cycle and has continued to do well this year. And why it's felt so shitty in crypto for this whole year is because crypto's actually been in a bear market. And what's wild to you, if you hear this, Pio, is in 2020, the first month that we like broke above the Bollinger Bands, I put a line on that and I drew it to the Pico top. I took that line and I dragged it to this cycle, the very first time we broke above the Bollinger Bands, and the top of the line was January 2025. So it's not a crazy, it was the exact same time of pumpage. And then the only difference this cycle is, of course, that Bitcoin has continued to do well and make new highs. It's decoupled from this typical crypto up and down cycle. But it makes sense to me because, I mean, that's how it has felt outside of Bitcoin this entire year. I mean, Solana's ranged, ETH has ranged. As you said, there's very few things that have beat Bitcoin. There's very few things that it's at the point now where you see people on the timeline, they're like, I'm done. I'm going to trade stocks. And then they post back a week later and they're like, look, I'm up 15% on stocks. Why the fuck have we been in crypto?
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, this is like my favorite thing to talk about. I love talking about this and I'd love to hear both of your, both of your opinions on it. So you have an institutional bid for Bitcoin that's made this quote Bitcoin cycle look a lot different. There hasn't been a blow off top. And every time someone says the cycle is over, first of all, I actually think that I understand where they're coming from saying that the cycle is over, because it kind of feels like it would be. Like right now, I think if someone says the cycle is over, I actually can empathize with how they got there. The thing is this whole year, people have been doing that over and over again. And then out of nowhere, we make a new low, or excuse me, a higher low. It's basically been like this staircase, and Bitcoin and crypto people do not like that staircase. They like an understandable, absolute face melting piss missile that they sell into. Yeah. And they're like, the thing just ran to the thing just ran to 69K in 3 months out of fucking nowhere from 28K, right? Yeah. And they're like, I'm going to sell all my stuff. The cycle has to be over. And then they're like pretty right. And they feel good about it. And they're like, okay. And then FTX blows up and it goes to 16 grand. And they're like, all right, I was right, right? What they don't like is a gradual staircase climb that feels insanely boring because of all of the consistent consolidation where Bitcoin lives at over 100K for the better part of the calendar year. Meanwhile, none of the altcoins go up like at all. What does Ethereum cost right now? 4 grand or less?
4 grand, 3,800 if you're not rounding up.
It's still 3,800. Like, how long is this thing just going to be $3,800? Like,
it's really coiling. It's a multi-decade coil. When I'm 60, it's going to have an insane breakout. Just get ready. But you are right in the sense of last year, Bitcoin, it was from March until like September. We just had that kind of slight downward chop, big leg up, right? And then this year, kind of from February, chopped, bottomed out with the tariffs, then a move up, and now we're in another chop. And what you're saying is true. Basically, the rest of the crypto assets are really great to be in that 2-month period where Bitcoin rips. And then the 5-month period after where it chops, crypto gives back all of its gains.
Yes.
And it's just that cycle over and over. So if you're a good crypto trader and you can say, hey, we're in another leg up of Bitcoin, you can make money on some nice stuff. That's what we had in November through January of last year when there's a lot of money to be made. But I would say this year when we had the next leg up, which was April, May into June, we had a move up, but it was less in the basket that moved up. We had Pengu make a nice move up. We had Rekt make a nice move up. We had ETH make a nice move up. Hype. But then most things were laggards.
So I just want to show you this guy. So I did an interview with Plan C. I'm realizing right now that the editor screwed up and didn't include any of the charts. So I'm going to send them a strongly worded message. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm going to be nice to them, but I'm like, dude, like.
But you kind of don't want to, you know?
Well, the whole fucking conversation we're referring to charts. You didn't like think that maybe
it's just you guys staring, talking about numbers with no visual context.
But StreamYard. Yeah, and one guy made a comment like, next time you talk about charts, show the damn charts. StreamYard records the charts too. Like there's a recording with the charts.
Yeah.
It's timestamped. So I'm not telling you to go dig up charts.
You can sync it up very easily.
Think it up. But anyway, so this guy Plan C, I think anybody that cares anything about like the sort of Bitcoin cycle should follow this guy. He is like, dude, I mean, this is like some seriously next level model building when it comes to Bitcoin. And so his models, the cool thing about his models, I don't have any visuals for them because I don't think he's published these new models yet. He showed them on the podcast that I did with him, but I'm now realizing that those models aren't visually on screen in the final edit that we published. But it showed that it basically is a visual representation of time being on your side when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm also just realizing I heard like a loud noise yesterday when I was moving my desk, and it was just this invisible friend's toy getting absolutely clobbered by the desk moving up and down and now split.
What a time to be alive.
So that I was like, what was that sound? It was just this toy getting grinded out by the desk going against the wall. So oops, I got to get that thing super glued. So check it out. So his position here is that every day Bitcoin trades above 110K increases the odds of an extended market cycle bull run. And the other thing is his models show, yeah, this is the model right here. So check this out, guys. This is a very juicy model where he's essentially defining different zones that Bitcoin operates in. So Bitcoin mostly operates in the yellow and the blue zone, and there's moments where it breaks out in the previous cycles through, all-time high blow-off tops into the red and the gray zone, right? And then that bottom zone, it's always a buy in the bottom zone, right?
In the bottom gray.
If it goes to the bottom gray, back up the Brinks truck, right? It's always been a buy. And the cool thing here is, so this is for this, he published this last week. So the top, the top of this table, those are like the blow off top absolute best case scenario. And then the bottom is like the most bearish scenario. So the cool thing about this is probability wise, based on the history, it's going to be somewhere in this colored zone. So the base case for 5 years from now is that Bitcoin's somewhere between 344 and 658K. Obviously it's a big zone. Obviously it's not something that you could use to do leverage trading or options trading, but it's something to kind of remind you like, hey, time is very much so on your side with Bitcoin. And with altcoins, the thing is that I just kind of can't get past, and I don't know if I'd ever get past it, is that time is probably on your side from a general investing standpoint, meaning will you probably outperform inflation if you hold Ethereum? Yeah, I think you're probably going to outperform inflation. I think Ethereum is a worthwhile financial investment. Like if you put a gun to my head and said the only thing you can possibly invest in is Ethereum, you can do Ethereum or nothing, I'll be like, cool, give me the Ethereum. I don't think it's going to literally go down by 50%, right? Or I mean, it might, but like over a 10-year period, I think it'll directionally go up. But I think time is not on altcoin sides when you look at the charts of like the altcoin against Bitcoin. And so that's, I think, something that the whole market is dealing with right now. And that's why it's been such a strong, like a relatively strong year for Bitcoin, you know, compared to altcoins. Obviously, the stock market's done really well, but really what the stock market has done well with is AI. And then if you bought crypto equities that are in an actual really great growth period right now, or specifically the Bitcoin miners that are being positioned for AI, that's really where the AI overarching has been the juiciest part of the stock market. And then there's been some isolated winners, you know, Open Door, Oscar Health. There's like 7 or 8 names that have done really well outside of that.
Robinhood. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. What's very interesting, 80% of stocks are down.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
When you think about like when people are like, man, like crypto feels like shit, they're comparing that to QQQ and S&P, which is weighted index the top companies, right? It's not like every stock is crushing it this year.
Yeah, Michael Saylor points out that 80% of the companies in the S&P 500 don't outperform the S&P 500. In other words, they're dragging it down, but then Tesla, Nvidia, you know, the Mag
are dragging it,
are just crushing it. Coinbase now. Yeah,
you're spot on. I mean, it's been an AI trade, or at least AI adjacent, right? So like rare earth mineral stocks that have done well, that's a derivative of AI. Nuclear doing well, that's a derivative of AI. Right. Things that need to be used to build data centers. That's a derivative of AI, right? Those are all the things that have performed very well. But yeah, I think you're spot on. I've always looked at alts as like, you know, I'd be broke right now if I held all my NFTs. I've always, you know, since I got in crypto, I've looked at alts as a way to make money. I think it very rarely can you find something that you can hold on for a multi-year period and do well. I mean, I held my Pudgy for 2.5 years and went from 6. I made $100,000 total off of it with the token airdrop, but that's a rarity for even something in crypto to be a good hold for 3 years, right? So you either have to be a very good picker of these things, or you just have to go in with the mindset of trading them. But it's been a tough year. I think people like Easy's crushed it, but I think Easy's an exception to the norm. I think most people have struggled this year. I'm seeing a lot of people on the timeline talking about they've blown up the last couple of weeks and they're done. I think for me, the exciting thing to look at is that we potentially may be in a paradigm shift for crypto and crypto alts, where it's going to kind of be the death of just pumping random hot air.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the Cambria explosion of actual companies generating revenue.
Yeah.
And Adam, is it Adam Hayes? Who's the guy behind? No, the guy behind Uniswap. I don't know. He made a tweet yesterday, and he said basically
Adam Bain.
I forget. Someone will say it in the chat. But Uniswap founder. He said and it's a weird tweet. He's like, the only way that I have been able to pitch crypto to the progressive left that gets them positive and excited is by telling them that the whole financial game, Hayden Adams, there we go, is the whole financial game is rigged against the retail investor. They don't get to buy any of these things until it IPOs. But with crypto, you have the opportunity to get into these things really early. I thought it was a funny tweet because I'm like, bro, you have Stockholm syndrome. Like, you're trying to figure out ways to pitch crypto to the progressive left. Maybe wake the fuck up and realize it's the people on the right that are actually supporting you. The people on the left gave your company a Wells notice and tried to shut you down. So maybe focus your energy on the people that actually like you. But I think what he said is interesting, right? Because if you think about what's really hot and successful right now, Polymarket, right? Hype, right? Like real companies that are generating real revenue or are doing real serious things that break outside of just crypto. And I think that's my exciting like 2-3 year vision for crypto and crypto alts. The ICM stuff we're seeing, I think, is just like the kind of start of something actually legitimate. Like, I think bonding curves are garbage as fuck. I think it's the stupidest thing ever. I think anyone that launches on a bonding coin curve is an absolute idiot. But I do think that what people are trying to do with the ICM stuff, 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to see legit companies, and that's exciting. That's actually, like, when you think about it, PO, if you could actually look at alts, and instead of it all just being these hot air use cases, you could be like, oh, this one's interesting. It's actually doing this thing and it's making money. It's like a company, and I can buy the token, and the token actually isn't just a governance token. It has a real value accrual to it. That could be an exciting future.
I think it'll be tokenized equity. And I think that that'll be a really great way, like actual tokenized equity, not a token issued by a company that is hot air, but actual official regulated tokenized equity. I don't know what it looks like. I mean, but there's such big wins in the traditional markets anyway. I don't think the big wins go away. I'll be very interested to see how tokenized equity plays out. It's going to take years. I think
but here's the thing. I want to buy Anduril. I want to buy into Palmer Luckey's company. Yeah. I don't want to buy it when it fucking IPOs at $100 billion. You know, I want to buy it now. So whether it's crypto or some other way, like reshapes the financial system where like, it's a whole long story. I could waste 15 minutes on why companies don't IPO until they do now. But it's basically like post 2001, post 2008 regulatory things that made companies want to stay private longer. But it's completely perverted the system. It would be awesome if crypto could create a way that we could get into these things early. And actually you can, by leverage longing them on venturals, on Hyperliquid, you can leverage long synthetic derivatives of private companies. So I look forward to 10x longing Anduril.
Yeah, synthetics being the key word there. But beyond that, you know, keep in mind when you make an equity investment right now, the money's kind of in a black hole, right? So I had an opportunity to invest in SpaceX, and I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh shit!" Well, guess what? SpaceX's valuation is insanely high, as you can imagine, because it's fucking SpaceX.
600 billion or something, probably.
There's no clear, you know, direction or timeline on when that's going to go public. If it's going to go
if ever, you may just have to sell that on secondaries if you ever want to exit.
Exactly. And so you're literally just putting money into a literal black hole is how it feels like. Like, think about it. You can, even if you do a locked up investment, like a CD or something like that, right? You can see the money on the screen. With an equity investment, you wire money to an address and then they're like, thank you. And you never, you get a quarterly report or
you don't have an E-Trade account where you can, like, you know, see the money and see the valuation. You're just like, all right, well, hopefully this goes up.
Yeah,
and exactly. I can sell it.
So it's not really for me. I don't know what a tokenized equity situation looks like, because I don't know about, like, everybody wants to buy Palmer Luckey's company and it pumps really hard, then it pulls back. So all of a sudden the company's dealing with the same things that you would deal with as a publicly traded company. Like, the price goes up, you have anger.
And that's what they're trying to avoid.
So I just don't know what it looks like. It's going to take a long time for it to shake out. Really quick, I got Benjamin Cohen on the screen because I was showing Plan C before this and his, you know, sort of thesis of the Bitcoin bull run extending into 2026, which, I mean, I would say that I'm in that camp, right? But Ben Cohen here, who's a big YouTuber, and you should definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel because it's really good. It's right there, Into the Cryptoverse. He has been right about, like, everything this year. It's actually,
I've heard about him. Yeah,
dude, kicks. Like, he recently made a video where he's like, yeah, it's been an insane year of predicting, because he really has hit the nail on the head with so many predictions. His prediction is still that the top of this cycle for Bitcoin is going to happen in Q4. That's his prediction
of this year.
That's his prediction. He does not think that it's going to go into 2026. And he thinks if we don't make a new all-time high in this, you know, this quarter, then we already made the all-time high for this cycle. And you have to start looking at the where we're at as a bear market. Mm-hmm. And the bear markets typically last a year. So he would look at the all-time high that was in 2025. He would view that as the top of the cycle and extrapolate that a year out is probably, you know, the bottom of the bear market. And then we start rocking and rolling.
Like Bitcoin, like 60K bear. Is that at least?
That would be over a 50% correction. I think that would probably be a worst case scenario in my book.
More like 30%.
Nah, like probably because like 40% would be what? Like what was our all-time high? 125K, 126K? Was that high? Let's call it 125K. And let's say a 40% drawdown puts you at like 75K. That's easily doable. I think right around the 60s and the 70s is totally feasible and quite frankly totally okay, but I don't know if I buy it. I kind of feel like things will keep going into 2026 and it's going to take longer, and I just don't know if the cycle drawdowns look the same as they used to. I do think that there will still be 60% drawdowns for sure, but if that means that we get up to 160K and we draw down by 60%, that's a little bit different, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to fade the guy that's been right the entire time.
Yeah.
I will say that I have been doing like a little research over the past 48 hours into some financial issues on a macro level. That is a little bit concerning. Long story short, there's a lot of toxic debt going around at the regional bank level. And there was news like a week or two ago. Some of these regional banks reported earnings and they were booking write-downs, losses. An auto lender earlier this year went under. I was actually looking at Carvana as a potential short just to hedge out against this. I think the numbers came in and over the past year, 1.7 million cars were repoed in the fucking United States of America, dude. Yeah. And then of course, you know how the timeline works. Then you start getting like other threads that are related. And I see this like car dealer and he's like, dude, it's like October has been the worst fucking month that I've seen in a decade in the car market. Anyways, why am I talking about cars? It's just that like, this is how things can happen is you have a little bit of a financial credit. Like, why is the Fed like December? We may have to start quantitative easing. Is it because are they looking at it and they're like, some of these regional banks are fucked right now. They're holding.
They said that too, but they also acknowledged the job situation. The job situation, like Powell was very cognizant of acknowledging it multiple times that layoffs are happening and unemployment's still on the way up. So it's like very clear to him that he actually kind of screwed up by not introducing cuts sooner without saying it outright. But he still doesn't think
he's going to cut in December. He's a fucking idiot.
Well, the only reason he says that is because he also wants a government shutdown to end. So it's like for him, he's just going to continue to lean on, we can't guarantee a cut unless we get more data. The data is all going to be hot garbage. And the thing is, we're going to get 2 months back to back of this data. So you're basically going to set up for like an absolutely terrible situation data wise, which should theoretically ensure a a cut in December on top
or maybe
of
an emergency cut in December because of fucking,
could get a double cut. Like if you really want to
exploding.
speculate on it, what is the rate cut odds for December? Taking a 50 bips cut. Yeah. Emergency rate cut in 2025 is at 3%. Could be a good play. Like you're going to have 2 months of back tested data for it. And
here's the thing.
50 bips is 2%.
I don't know if you believe this, but like, I believe that in life, when like multiple unconnected things draw me to the same information, it's like God kind of sending me a little bit of a warning. So I was at the golf simulator doing teed up trades, and there's this older retired man that was at the other bay, and a nice guy, his name's Bruce. And he had heard me a couple weeks ago being on teed up trades. I'm talking crypto, stocks, and everything like that. So he knew I got off the show, and he kind of starts picking up a conversation with me. Long story short, this guy's had a successful career. He's retired now, investing all these things, but he did a lot of stuff in the loan space for a while. And we're just talking stocks, we're talking investing, we're talking crypto. And he's like, yeah, have you heard about like the loan issues? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I looked through like some of the loan tranches, MBA, whatever you want to say, these loan tranches. And he's like, dude, this is like 2008 level shit. Like, he's like, I never thought I would see this again. He's like, they're like, he's literally saying it's like repeat. He's like seeing car loans and there's no income in the fucking income field to get the car loan. Not saying it's going to be on the level of 2008, but once again, it's just like when I see these different unconnected things all drawing me to shorting the fuck out of Carvana.
Carvana's done quite
I don't know
well.
if I like that short.
Why?
You get back-to-back rate cuts, and refis are just going to start piling in, which is just going to save them. Like, it's basically set in stone. We're going to get 3 cuts into next year, like minimum. So that alone will drop these rates down to a significant amount, adding QE, and they're just going to continue to kick the can down the road. Like, it's one of those situations where, like, when Michael Berry shorted the 08 subprime mortgage situation, he wasn't wrong. He was just early. Like, that's the difference. But you could still be way too early on it. Like, that's the thing.
I could 100%. 100%. I'm not going to full port short Carvana. If anything, it could be a nice hedge. All I'm saying is that guess what? You cut the rates. If you don't have a fucking job, you're still your Carvana car is getting repoed.
Yeah. So Kicks, what you're actually touching on is the exacerbation of the wealth gap, because you're doing
all tied together.
Your car is not going to get repoed, right?
Not yet. I mean, 2 years from now, we'll see.
But the exacerbation of the like people that don't own assets are getting smoked. That's why there's so much like unrest, I think, is because people that don't own assets are getting smoked. People that have all this student loan debt, like crazy student loan debt, and like not a good job. Even people with like okay jobs, like someone that majored in marketing but took on 190 grand of student loan debt to do it, and they're making like 60 grand in like, you know, Columbus or something like that. Like, they're getting smoked. And so
there's two people that can afford lobster tails right now. The very wealthy and people on food stamps, and everyone else in the middle can't afford lobster tails.
Nice. But yeah, so I think that they're going to just print money every step of the way. And we just came out of the kind of 20-month bear market where they had to undo the money printing that they did from COVID, because otherwise it would have been like Argentina or like Caracas, Venezuela level. So they just couldn't let that happen, which I totally get. I don't know if I would have shut down the whole country, like, and print all that money. I don't think I would have done that part, but I understand the putting the Band-Aid on it for 20 months afterwards, because what else were we going to do, right? I mean, Jerome Powell said it. He was like, brace for pain was his language. In hindsight, knowing the way he speaks now and his little cryptic messaging, is it not insane that he literally point blank said investors should brace for pain?
Was this November 2021?
That would, yeah. Whenever like the rate,
when they all said we're selling all of our stocks to avoid conflict of interest, that like when I consider myself a fucking moron that I didn't like actually stop for a second and be like, okay, it's Elon Musk is dumping the fuck out of his shares right now. Mark Zuckerberg is dumping the fuck out of his shares. Chamath Palihapitiya Chakapaya is selling every single fucking SPAC he launched. And Jerome Powell saying we got to sell all our shares to avoid conflict of interest. The top signals there was the fucking clearest thing in the world.
That's the best top signal you can get, is the inside.
You can't ever get it again because now they can't buy stocks because they banned themselves. So you don't get that signal anymore.
I'm sure we'll get similar signals to that.
The bottom signal when they reverse that and say, actually, we need to be aligned with the American economy. We're going to start buying stocks now. Then we'll go gig along.
To be fair, there was the true once in 100-year black swan, aka COVID, and then also the once in a decade, like necessary true recession. You had the 2001, .com bubble. You had the 2009 mortgage crisis, and then you had the COVID crash followed by the historic rate hike, undue quantitative easing, money printing fiasco. I don't know. I don't think we get something that extreme for another. I think it's a once in a decade thing, and I think that's like pretty fair. Yeah.
It's probably by the dip, like very short aggressive crashes. Like I think the new normal is like what we saw with the tariffs in April, May, right? You're going to get these like 45-day, 20-30% pullbacks on things. And then it's all good because it's all algo driven. They're going to drive the price down super fucking quick. And then it starts marching back up.
You guys might not even remember. It was like 2 falls ago, like maybe 2 Novembers ago or something like that. So like November, 2023. There was the biggest single day stock market crash since Black Monday of 1987 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. That's wild.
Because it recovered in like 2 days. But everyone was like, it was
it's over.
It was the biggest single day crash. People were like, I've never seen anything like that. And it recovered in like 2 days and nobody even remembers.
And that's why like I don't like to play this play of like the trying to be the hero and being like, I'm going to sell all of my assets at the Pico's top, or be even more aggressive and be like, I'm selling everything and now I'm shorting the top, right? I don't like going for hero trades for like that. But I do like looking at things like, hey, can I hedge my portfolio right now by buying like 10K of Carvana put options at $200 that expire at the end of 2026, you know?
Yo, can I get a review on these open options positions, boys?
You're on the sell side, right?
They're all sells.
I don't know where any of these are priced at, but I love that you're selling options. They all look good to me.
Open's the best one.
Which one?
Open. I like the MSTR one.
MSTR ain't going to 440 by December 5th, bro. It ain't going there.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, your Iron ones, that ends today. That's free money.
Free.
Cypher next Friday. Yeah, these are fun.
Cypher's the riskiest one out of all of these, because if we just get a market turnaround, Cypher could absolutely rip to $30. Dude, the open, when I saw premium at $18 for Open Door, I was like, what kind of moon boy shit is this?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was like I'm an open bull. I texted Kicks.
Is that because of the earnings report, right?
Yeah. Like, dude, what kind of crack are these options buyers smoking? They think it's going to go to $18
off of like a monster earnings report. The guy's been CEO for 4 months. Like,
he's been CEO for like 5 weeks, dude. Like what are we doing? And people were replying to me. They like made a list. They were just like, the Fed announces a rate cut at the next meeting. They were Open Door partnership with Robinhood for tokenized real estate. I was like, yeah, that's gonna come next week. I was
and it's gonna do a triple. It's gonna do a triple in a week. Like that's some real 2021 shit right there.
Like, bro, I'm bullish, but
you'll make money off of the dumbass bulls.
I think I made like $440 off this, and people's like, you're risking 6,400 shares. I'm like, I don't even view it as a risk, because I feel like there is a 0% chance that this thing is going to go.
It's also not a you're risking that you get to sell all of your shares at $18 in 9 days and make a lot of fucking money. Wow,
pretty
man,
good risk.
That's pretty good risk in my book.
I did the math. 6,400 shares at $18 is like $110,000. I was like, okay, like worst thing can happen to somebody.
Worst case happens. I'm realizing probably the biggest gain you've had in a couple months.
Well, I mean, sure, but I don't. To be fair, I do not want to let go of the shares. Period. But I was like, dude, $18, because this tokenized real estate shit, that's not going to happen overnight. And plus, it actually already came out. The partnership with Robinhood is that they're going to do it on Robinhood's platform. They're doing the earnings call like on Robinhood's platform. Robinhood's trying to become like a social media platform, which is definitely interesting and definitely, in my opinion,
like a FinTwit.
Yeah, kind of, or like. One, it's like Venmo, but more like where you can see people's portfolios,
send money to people and stuff like that,
and see people's portfolios, which I know most people will do private, but some people, especially influencers, are going to have their ports be transparent.
Yeah, it's exactly like FinTwit, which was it minus the portfolio sharing, but that was like that I spent all 2015 through 2018 on FinTwit. It was the shit. It was back when like Twitter was open. So you could just build things on top. And so is this whole like financial website for Twitter. It's really cool. But I think that's awesome for Robinhood to do. But yeah, that's not a partnership that's going to take it to $18.
Yeah, it's just
I don't think there is a partnership out there that would just make this thing go to $18.
No way.
If they got acquired at $20 a share, yeah, it would go to $18.
Easy, you sold these too?
Yeah. I just don't see a world where this thing's going to run 125%.
Yeah, exactly. And then Iron, I hadn't been selling calls on Iron because it ran so hot. And I actually got called on Iron on the way up at like $20 or something like that. I now have more shares than I ever have, but I did get called on the way up. So I was like a little bit scarred by Iron. I also got called on the way up with Robinhood. I do not have the most shares I've ever had with Robinhood, but whatever. Can't win them all. But with Iron,
you're also selling like in profit, in a lot of profit on the way up. So I personally love this strategy because you're either making free money or you're selling your shares that you've bought at a way lower cost. It's kind of a win-win in my book. Like
it is, but I don't want to sell the shares, but I understand why. If you have a trading mentality, you're like, I mean, if you have a trading mentality and you're not doing this, then I do not understand. Like, I don't understand, because it's like you're winning either way. The only way you lose is if you pick an absolute stinker company and it just goes down and never comes back. But with Iron, I sold that 72 either on Tuesday or Wednesday because the week was just feeling so bearish. I was like, I don't really think this is a $72 week for Iron, but I didn't go out to the next week. With Cypher going out to next week, that's the biggest risk that I've taken. And I think, yeah, at 15 cents right now, I don't know what I sold it at. We'll have to see with Cypher. We'll definitely have to see. But Open Door, MicroStrategy, Iron, I feel like those are all going to be pretty damn.
And I guess if some of these are on short-term games, that is a factor to consider where you wouldn't want to sell and get hit with higher capital.
They're all short-term gains except maybe MicroStrategy. So Blade said, are you doing this in your brokerage account or tax-deferred retirement account? I do it in both. What you're looking at right now is my brokerage account. But keep in mind, Blade, I live in Florida, so I don't have state income tax or city tax.
Oh, dude. One of the few outholds against communism, man. I'm proud of you. Maybe one day I'll be down there after Dad lies over. I'll move down there and join you in paradise.
Actually,
right now I'm up here fighting the good fight against the commies.
Are you?
Yeah, this is communism. You know, on my fucking electricity bill, 30% of my electricity bill is paying for other people that don't pay for their electricity bill. If that's not communism, I don't know what it is.
You got to get a Tesla battery in that house.
Why? So my electricity bill goes up, and every dollar I spend, 30% goes to fucking somebody that's not paying their fucking electric bill?
Rig up a bit here. Rig up a Bitcoin miner to it.
No, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fucking like do that illegally, tap into the fucking state electricity, fucking run it off their own dime. I can be the 30%. I can be the receiver of the 30%. Fucking people on the timeline bitch, oh, you want to watch people starve? No, I don't want to watch fucking people starve with foods, but I am sick and tired of some of the shit I see. You know what I mean? I was at fucking Exxon and I'm in line getting Zins, and the fucking owner is talking to this blue collar looking guy. He's like, yeah, you should really get on it. The guy's like, I don't know. I don't really trust you. He's like, no, just talk to my brother. He'll get you on it, and it's free money. You know what they're doing a fucking EBT scam. This is a little fucking Exxon Indian owner, him and his Indian brother just running fucking EBT fraud. You know, why not? Oh, but the kids will start. I want the kids to be fed, okay? But I also don't think I got to spend 30% of my fucking electricity bill on other people's fucking electricity, okay? Enough's enough.
Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end on that one. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on the video. It really helps with the algo. Sorry for not having the Twitter Spaces stream today. Didn't have the password ready for the Bodagos account. We recently got the Bodagos handle, which is super cool. Trying to get the PO handle over here.
Ooh.
And I don't know if I can, I'd pay 10 grand for it.
3-letter, man. I bought a 3-letter ENS domain. They ain't cheap, dude. I actually got rid of that. The guy still hits me up every couple of months. He's like, dude, I'll give it to you for like $250. I'm like, the renewal fees are $1,000. Have fun, dude. See you later.
I don't even have PO.ETH anymore. A guy bought it and was trying to sell it back to me for a profit at first. I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I don't want it. Then he got to the point where he was trying to sell it to me for under what he paid for it. He's just desperately trying to get rid of it. And I just still said no.
You realized he fucked up?
He fucked up because those things aren't worth anything. But anyway, sorry.
That was a funny time. I owned Lager ETH. You know, I had dreams of selling it to, you know,
Wiser.
An IPA brewery, you know, for 50 bands.
That would have been something. It's too bad Ethereum is just not that valuable, but a Twitter handle is. Anyway, look, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for listening. Ray will be back on Monday. The show will resume as usual on every platform, including Twitter. Have a great Halloween weekend. Hope you have some good costumes, and catch you guys next time.